is the obstacle that you find at the high school ranks and the college ranks? Because I think it's going to be the same thing in the business world.
I think it's a few things. The first thing is we've created a society where you don't have to. So you have everything at your fingertips. You're always behind a screen, which is ironic because now what we're doing is Zoom. But it happens in the classroom too. It's especially after COVID, I will say, being a teacher and seeing how kids were home for pretty much an entire year or longer and doing everything behind a screen. It was like pulling teeth to even get kids on Zoom to turn their cameras on. Like, let me see your face. Like, I want to interact with you. And then having them come back to the classroom and trying to get participation this year was difficult. It was very, very difficult. I had to get very creative.
Mandy Sue, thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast, the Today Counts show. I've already introduced you to our listening audience, and I'm just excited to spend this time with my daughter.
Hi.
Like you've never seen me before, right? So hello. I, as your dad, have always been amazed at watching you do what you do. And I'm talking specifically, I'm not necessarily talking about coaching. Yes, I'm talking about coaching, but I've also have seen you operate as a teacher. But what I've been most impressed with is how you are able to build teams, and not just cohesive teams, but winning teams. And so that's kind of what I thought I would talk to you about today. So I want to jump in right now, right away, and let's go back to the beginning. When did you even know that you wanted to be a teacher or a coach, for that matter? When did that happen?
Well, I think when I was little, I always used to talk about being a teacher. It was a profession that I looked into. I don't think it was always what I saw myself doing my whole life.
Right.
That would definitely be a step. But then I think as time went on, it developed into other avenues and opportunities. I think that my growth and passion for it happened as I got a little bit older, more in the high school years. And I don't know if it was my own experiences with teachers and coaches, but I think that was definitely a big part of it. I don't know, I can't think of a specific time whether those experiences be positive or negative. I think that it encouraged me to want to go into that field and mentor young adults and figure out ways for them to be excited about school and learning. I definitely used to get bored very easily when I was in school and would check out really quickly for a variety of different reasons. And so I kind of hope that even if I was a teacher and they are bored with the content they're learning, that their relationship that they grew with the teacher would help improve that environment and make them want to be there. I also see that teaching and coaching as a ministry as well, a different avenue of ministry. And I always say that coaching is a ministry, teaching is a ministry, and my classroom and my studio being a safe place, it does not mean that it is a soft place, meaning that we still have those tough conversations and those realities. However, it is a place that you can fail and grow and you can overcome and you'll be accepted and kind of taken where you're at. And that's kind of where my passion lies, is working with young adults in that way. I think coaching came later. I never really thought of being a coach when I was younger. I actually started because we had a certain number of hours that we had to serve in the building through my teaching program in college. And I was trying to find a way that I wanted to serve. That might be something new that I hadn't done yet. And so I asked to help the cheerleading program at the school that I was teaching at. And then I just fell in love with it. And each school that I worked at after that continued to apply to a position to coach. And that is definitely where a huge area of my passion lies now, is in coaching.
Well, your dad is interviewing you. We've already established that. And I was just thinking about what you said earlier when you said that you get bored easily. And you kind of have an advantage and a disadvantage in this podcast. you have an advantage because your dad is obviously very proud of you and respects you. And you might have a little bit of a disadvantage because I just know you really well, and
Yeah.
and I know your whole story. Maybe, well, I'm sure I don't know your whole story, but I know a lot of your story. But when you said that about being bored easily, correct me if I'm wrong. You did high school in 3 years, and you did college in 3 years, as an example. So you kind of shocked us toward the end of your junior year. You were talking about checking out, and then that first freaked me out because I thought you were talking about dropping out, but no, you said you pretty much have done everything you need to do to graduate and you're ready to move on. And that was a whole thing in our family. Like, I don't want my little girl going off to college, at this point. And then not only did you do 3 years in high school, I think you finished college in 3 years as well as your credential. Is that right?
I started my licensure in the fourth year. Actually, it was technically the third year when I started my licensure for teaching. But the first time I stepped into a classroom to student teach, I was 19. So I had some kids who were actually older than me in my class because I worked in an area that had a lot of immigrants to the United States, a lot of families that migrated here, and the system does allow students to stay there until they're 21. So if they had lost years of education or wanted to stay in the system longer, they can. So I did work with a lot of students that were in that scenario. So I never told them how old I was because some of them were older than me.
You still get comments today that you look a lot younger, than you are. And I think that even your dad used to get those comments. I don't get those anymore, but
doesn't help that I'm short too. Most of the high school kids tower over me.
Well, you've just described the family condition of being being short. But you also said something earlier about you kind of have viewed this from the very beginning as a ministry, and I think that's always been our family's perspective. And ministry doesn't mean stained glass windows all the time. Certainly, it includes that, but it's always been about helping people get to the next level, realizing how good their humanity is, and that there is a plan and there is a purpose to life. So I appreciate it. Certainly what you said there, because that definitely fits into my worldview, and it makes me feel good that it's yours as well. Just from your perspective, I know you're a thinker. I always enjoy hearing how you think. I agree with a lot of things you say, not everything you say, but we don't have exactly the same path in what we have dealt with, but. What do you think that is? Is it fear? Is it what causes us simply not to talk to our brother or talk to our sister, our teammate, our colleague, whatever the right term is, and talk? What is the obstacle that you find at the high school ranks and the college ranks? Because I think it's going to be the same thing in the business world.
I think it's a few things. The first thing is we've created a society where you don't have to. So you have everything at your fingertips. You're always behind a screen, which is ironic because now what we're doing is Zoom. But but it happens in the classroom too. It's especially after COVID, I will say, being a teacher and seeing how kids were home for pretty much an entire year or longer and doing everything behind a screen. It was like pulling teeth to even get kids on Zoom to turn their cameras on. Like, let me see your face. Like, I want to interact with you. And then having them come back to the classroom and trying to get participation this year was difficult. It was very, very difficult. I had to get very creative. Even on the last day of school, I know it was the last day of school, but they were done with their final, grades were done, and playing the headbands game with them where they came up and they had the character on their forehead and the class was giving, they're asking the class yes or no questions and they were laughing and talking. And I made every single kid in my class go, which might seem like torture for the kids with social anxiety or things like that. But I also strategically let the people go who were very, very outgoing and didn't care. And they kind of went first. And as the period got along, people kind of loosened up. And then those kids were volunteering because they realized, okay, it's a safe place. Nobody's going to make fun of me. We're just having fun. It's a game. I got up there. I even did it, ask questions, let them answer. We were laughing, having a good time. And I think we forgot the simplicity of those things, which makes the more complex things more difficult in life. And that's why I'm so passionate at the high school team level and in college athletics as well, as you mentioned, working with my college team as well, is that besides a little team project, maybe, this is the first team that kids are going to be part of. And they take, whether they play sports ever again or not, which is a very small percentage of people,
sure,
it's something that they haven't realized that, but you work on teams the rest of your life. That team might be your family, right? Mm-hmm. You and your spouse or a partner, you're a team. It might be a cohort group within your job that has a project and a task to complete, and you have to work together to complete that task. If you go off on your own, there's going to be links and puzzle pieces that don't match because you didn't work together as a team. And, administrative team has to work together to make sure that they're leading their staff effectively. You can always tell when you're part of a leadership that's not aligned and they're on different pages at the end of the day. So I definitely think it's that we create a society where we don't have to make it easy. But then I also think that part of that is we also like to save people when things get hard too, right? Our first reaction is to be like, oh, it's just cheerleading, or, oh, it's just high school sports, or, oh, it's just this. Let's protect, let's save. And it's like, no, let's make it hard and let them overcome. Something that I have noticed is humans in general, but especially teenagers, but even me, humans in general, if you give someone the ticket out, the easy way out, they're going to take it about 90% of the time. But also, if you give someone a challenge and the right stepping stones to accomplish that challenge, they also will take it probably 90% of the time as well. It's just sometimes we like to take the easier way out, whether the person that is offering it or the person that is in the position. Either way, goes with parenting. Maverick, my third, obviously the most stubborn of my three, and he is persistent and adamant. My other two would fold after a while. Obviously, it would be a lot easier for me to just go, okay, here's the toy that you wanted back, or here's the pizza that you wanted for breakfast. He likes weird stuff, things like that. Obviously, it's going to be, that is the easy way out. It's hard to hear them cry. It's hard to hear them mad at you when you love them so much. It's hard to put them in the corner. And he's going to take it if I let him. Oh, she said yes. Now I can do that, right? But if I stay consistent and persistent and just go through the struggle with them and hold their hand through the struggle and the difficulty from there, he also will eventually go without the toy or eat the food I asked him to eat or do that. And the same thing applies in teams and athletics, right? If the skill seems too hard and they don't want to do it, I could go ahead and walk it down. Or I can say, let's start from the beginning again and break it down and work our way back up to build our confidence. We just like to make things easier because the more difficult road comes with the unknown and comes with a lot of challenges, whether that's fear, whether that's conflict, whether that is honestly even losing a team member sometimes, which often happens as well.
You've just described everything that I have experienced. So anecdotally, it matches up. Anything that I have led that I've gotten tired in doing and become a little more casual, or maybe even unconsciously lowering the bar, we as an organization followed in that way. We did not perform as well. We did not have the results that we would normally looking for. But when I was raising the bar, and because so far I think what we've accomplished today is what you mentioned, the take care of your person, your people, and your place. When the leader is healthy, the leader sets the pace. Now we don't mean to advocate that everything that's it, that's in the story. But then what the leader does is they create culture, and they do that with the people, and the culture becomes as strong as the initiating leader, the visionary leader,